Greetings and welcome to another River Radio Sports Central podcast alongside Matt Varney from 103.5 ESPN. I am Darren Kennard, and we are in the middle of the postseason. We are underway here in the final seasons of the 25-26 school year. We've got girls state track on the way this weekend in Charleston. The boys track sectionals are this week. We're recording on a Tuesday this time. And girls softball regionals are underway with baseball coming next week.
But, of course, as we know to expect in spring, the ugly head of spring has reared itself, and we're dealing with plenty of weather right now, too.
Yeah, and that has been a factor here, at least early in the week. At least it is early in the week. The forecast appears somewhat better later in the week, and it gives some time to make some adjustments and to get the games in. The things you worry about are, and I've been through this, where you're up at state and there's lightning delays, and then all of a sudden it just becomes just a circus, really.
Yeah, and I mean that you're kind of at a point where there's not a lot of room to back up. Obviously, at state they'll make the situation work, obviously, but I mean these venues are reserved for specific times, and you're up against the wall kind of. So specifically with softball and baseball in mind, baseball not in postseason yet, but this will probably tumble into their postseason somehow, some way. But especially softball, you're looking at some of these teams that, like, man, the weather is really gonna create some challenges for these teams, and this you wouldn't really have it any other way, I suppose, in that it's gonna have to you're gonna have to meet the road, kind of.
And it just fitting, I guess, the way it goes.
Yeah.
That we were dry for so much of the season, and now we get to the most important part, and we're having to deal with that stuff. We've talked about it before, but this is the first year of some changes in the postseason format.
Right.
Softball going all four classes starting this week. Baseball starts all four classes next week, as opposed to the way it was previously done with 1A and 2A in both baseball and softball, and then 3A, 4A. Yeah. And eventually this is going to lead to the all four classes at the same state venue. Right. In the same weekend, and so it's made it a 3-day state like in basketball. But I think overall, even just on the perimeter here, I think it's a good move.
Yeah, I agree. It just makes sense to have all of the sport, whether it's softball, baseball, girls basketball, boys basketball, just to have the whole kind of group together. Try to get them all in one place. It makes things so much easier. I know that a lot of people are like, well, if you're going to state, I'm just going for my team. I understand that, but it makes things a lot more simple, and this will pay dividends in future years.
Now, the Louisville Slugger Complex in Peoria is equipped to handle multiple games at multiple times if weather does become a factor, and so that's a big plus. Baseball's been moved to Champaign.
Right.
That was a fill-in last year because of some scheduling issues in Peoria. It's the U of I field, and so now they may have to make some adjustments if they have to go multiple games. But you start thinking about baseball trying to get 4 championships. I should check that. The schedule's a little squirrely on it. It's not quite like basketball where they do the semifinals for 1A and 2A and that. But again, if you get backed up with weather, how does that all play out? It is a turf field, which is a plus.
The field definitely is a plus, but I mean, I was talking with someone just about the fact that the limitations to pitchers and the rules around that of, if you do get backed up, some of those rules are going to come into effect in just who can pitch how many games and everything. So there's a lot of things that go into it, obviously. Right. And you hate to see it maybe affect some of the bigger games of the season. Obviously, with postseason just beginning for softball, it will affect some of those. But, this is what you play for. And you don't go out there making an excuse of, well, man, if we would have had so-and-so on the mound or in the circle, and so on and so forth. You don't make those excuses because if you're the better team, you're meant to come out on top one way or another.
Right, no question about that. And one thing that I did find interesting that I just learned this morning in talking about, the potential adjusting of schedules and this, that, and the other is that the IHSA doesn't want any of these postseason games to start before 3 o'clock.
Right.
And so, and I get it with the school, and but at the same point is you're in a finite window here because the games have to be in by a certain point, or it comes down to a coin flip, or by the seed, and so that nobody wants to see that.
No, you got to let them play, and I understand it does come down to a point, obviously, but if there's any opportunity, you got to let them play. And so if it does, hopefully it doesn't come to that point. But if it does, hopefully some calls can be made to the higher ups at IHSA to say, can we maybe get kind of some leniency here because it's not really our fault. And the thing is, it's not just Southern Illinois. A lot of Illinois is dealing with this weather right now, and I don't think IHSA wants to see a bunch of higher seeds just move on because we got rained out and we couldn't play a game a little bit earlier.
And honestly, we're based in Carterville, and from our area south has been fairly dry, and we've had a couple good rains. But from 64 north has just been loaded in with precipitation for days. And so now it's going to come down to, okay, well, if we have to scramble to different facilities, because not everybody has a tarp, but there are, fortunately, a few venues that have turf.
Yeah.
And so those may end up being some centralized location where we're just going to have to play a bunch of games.
Well, and I mean, I know that we've got plenty of options also in the area of multiple games happening at the same time, including the colleges. They might be able to step up. But, of course, over at Oasis, they've got plenty of fields as well. There's going to be plenty of options in the area that I don't think it will be a problem here. But you do bring up a great point of just the fact that some of those schools that are further north out of our coverage area that may be dealing with that. And if it continues, they might have to look at, unfortunately, coming south and saying we got to get these in. Can someone help? And so luckily there's plenty of facilities around, but we are basically beholden to the rain clouds right now.
Well, speaking of facilities, like that transition.
It's really nice.
Last night, Monday night, Murfreesboro held an open house and a ribbon cutting for the brand new Red Devil Arena. And we've obviously you've seen it a lot as far as the construction and dealing with all the stuff around to what's going on with the construction as it was built. But the public getting their first look. What a tremendous facility!
Oh, it's beautiful. I said on Twitter or X, depending on which you want to go with, but just it feels like it resets the standard in the area. It looks kind of takes in a lot of the good things about all the other places that you might go in Southern Illinois and tried to put it all into one very modern, good-looking high school gymnasium. But it's not just a gymnasium. It covers. I think it covers just about every single sport. Every sport is covered somehow in that facility. It's a fantastic thing. It's going to be one of those things that is just kind of an embarrassment of riches for the next couple of years for the Red Devils, and hopefully they can get plenty of games and hopefully some big games specifically for the Red Devils. I'm sure they'd love to host a regional and or a sectional, but at the same time, I'm sure they'd love to also have the Red Devils competing in those. So,
sure.
But when you get down to it, it's a fantastic facility, and I do think it's going to be a place a lot of local fans will be going to in the future for postseason, but also just for some of the schools to go and say, well, let's get an idea of what we want to do now. And I think that's going to be kind of one of those things that a lot of schools are going to be going to and saying, wow, look at this.
Well, and that's, we talked with the high school principal, Cody Ellermeyer, and he talked about the building committee went to other places, including, I think it's George Rogers Clark High School outside of Louisville that's got a phenomenal facility, and they found the things that they wanted, and they presented that to the Dodd architects who did Cobden's gym. You see a little bit of the Cobden, what was done there. And somebody had said to me before, they're like, you know the Cobden gym? Yeah, I've been there. Well, think of the Cobden gym on steroids, and that truly was, and that's certainly no disrespect, because the Cobden facility is great.
Beautiful.
But what they have done in Murfreesboro is, I think the great point that you brought up is that it's not just basketball, and it's not just going to be for a single event or whatever. It is going to be their athletic hub.
Yes.
Because they have a golf simulator, and they have the ability to put the batting cages in. They have the 4-lane Mondo track. They have the new weight room that looks out on the football field. They have a dance studio for the cheerleading and dance, which is also a very interesting space, because if you look to the north, and it's to the, I think I got that right. Yeah. You look to the north, and it's the football field, and then you look out the other direction, it looks over the basketball court, and it extremely well done. And much as you mentioned, wanting to host stuff, we've seen it with Cobden. They sign up for everything.
Yeah,
and they should.
Yeah, absolutely should.
These places that have great facilities. I love that we see variety, but when there is a great facility, we need to see action in it.
Yeah. Well, and the other great thing about it is that the former gym, Memorial Gymnasium, is not going to just be totally defunct. It's still there. It'll be there for classes, obviously, but also, they're trying to put together a midwinter for boys basketball. That could potentially be something that, hey, we're going to have multiple games going on, potentially. I don't know how they'll go about that. It was mentioned about just the fact that you're going to be able to see a lot more wrestling at Murfreesboro. They're going to be able to host a lot more of it. Just adding this in has made things a lot easier. I think they said that now they're up to 3 volleyball courts now, and they've got 12 basketball rims. And just the amount, you add in just that, basically one extra court, along with everything else, but in terms of the events, you add in that one extra court, and so much more can be done now. Now the school can look and say, well, we could be hosting this and that, and bringing more people to Murfreesboro. So it's a big deal for the community, without a doubt.
Right, and the logistics that go into it, of the fact that you have 2 full-size gyms, and it's not like, well, somebody's going to be in the small gym, that a lot of times you end up with, so practices. And they mentioned last night about the fact that the Murfreesboro youth that come into practice, now they don't have to come in as late, because, hey, the girls can be practicing right after school, boys practicing at the same time, and hey, they're out by 5:15 and things are going.
Well, and the other side of it also is, if just, hey, we're just girls team, it's not just varsity, it's just the whole girls team is practicing, the whole boys team is practicing. They now don't have to bring the curtain down and just go kind of half courts. Right. One can be in the new one can be in the old one, and they can just deal with this. This is what it's going to look like in a game, and that does help prepare teams a little bit. When you get down to bringing the curtain down, first of all, you're dealing with, well, I hear something going on over there, and so it's a little difficult to focus. So there's the first part. Right. And, you do kind of still get just going half court instead of going the full length. You're going then the opposite direction, basically. Right. You still get the feel of it, but there's nothing that beats just playing on the full court, practicing on the full court. It will be a world of difference for them. And so it'll be interesting to see just how it affects all of the teams, all of the athletic programs at Murfreesboro. But it's going to be fun, I think, for a lot of the teams that primarily use the courts.
And to see this type of venue come in, I think that maybe folks around here maybe take for granted. Yeah. The quality of facilities. Yeah. It's not just 1 or 2 really good gyms. I mean, there are a lot of good gyms. There are a lot of quality football fields, baseball facilities, softball facilities. I just remember when Goreville's playing at the Jacksonville Bowl, and people from north of here were asking me, well, what'd you think of the bowl? And I was like, It was a cool facility. It was very nice, and but we've got 5 gyms like it,
Right.
here, and I think that sometimes we take that for granted, and we do have some really cool,
Yeah.
especially gymnasiums.
Well, and that's also, as you're talking about, I'm thinking about is just all the different kinds of gymnasiums. It's not all just like the cookie cutters.
Yes,
Like
I agree.
And even the ones that are kind of cookie cutter have their own kind of little extra flair one way or another. They're all very unique and cool, and just it's great. And when you pick up some of those books for the Illinois gymnasiums and everything, there's a reason why there's when they've got 100 of them, there's about 30 of them in Southern Illinois, because there's a lot of cool gymnasiums around these parts that are kind of like hidden gems to the rest of Illinois. You go up to Chicago, and there's a bunch of gyms that are also very unique and cool and have bowls and stuff like that. But when they get out of there and then they come to Southern Illinois, they're like, oh, wow, you guys have gyms like us too. And yeah, that's why you need to come and visit us more.
Well, and on the from the football perspective,
Yeah.
I remember when the Red Devils hosted, was it Kankakee McNamara like 4 years ago? Was that the
that
year?
was 19.
19.
Yeah.
So more.
My first year.
Yeah. So that was gosh,
That was a heck of a game.
The years pile
They
up
sure
quickly
do.
when you get old. But I remember talking with somebody on the Kankakee sideline, and he was like, "This place is unbelievable." I mean,
Yeah.
they had gone to the turf, and he's like, "We don't have any of that, where we're from." And I know that's
Yeah.
probably changed by now,
Of course,
but,
yeah.
But at that point, it was like it was nice to hear our region kind of being, "Oh, look at that."
Yeah. And I think that might have been the first year with turf for them. Maybe a year. I know that was the first year for their new press box.
Right.
But I can't remember. But it was pretty recent. But yeah, and that was a game also that Bishop McNamara, Murfreesboro was looking for revenge on from the year before and everything.
Right.
So for them to come down and to be like, oh, whoa, you guys have a heck of a facility. Like, it just kind of adds a little bit more for Murfreesboro and their fans to be like, yeah, and we're gonna beat you too.
Right, and yeah, we beat you. So, but yeah. Anyway, just kind of a little aside. Just stop and smell the roses.
Seriously.
and appreciate that we have some really good facilities in this region. Well, that's going to do it for this River Radio Sports Central podcast. From Matty V, I'm Darren Kennard. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you again soon.